You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Freedom Strips. I'm your host Keaton. We got a different episode today. It's a little bit of a laid-back discussion to get into a little bit more detail on a couple topics here. But we've got a couple guests today. We're bringing back Daniel from a later episode, and we're also bringing in my brother-in-law Stone. So as always, we're greeted by my co-host Justin. So thanks everybody for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me again.
Thanks for inviting me over to your house.
Yeah.
Keaton forces me to be here.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, man.
Yeah. Just to be clear, I don't force anybody. You know, you're on your own free will. You come on the program.
It's true. You're nothing but cordial in your request.
That's right. I like to think of myself as a nice guy. You know, I don't force anybody to do nothing. But
until you get the nasty death threats on this text.
Yeah. No, I did have one guy get pretty nasty on my Facebook feed. He didn't like what we had to say about old Nathan Phillips.
He didn't necessarily get nasty as much as he got like woke. Like he thought it was disgusting. And I mean, look, what you guys say is very, very, I'd say, mild compared to the thoughts, let alone the words I say on a regular basis. So, if
that's what I was under the impression.
So if you're violating sensibilities, then I'm a damn monster.
I just don't understand why it's always the fat guys with neck beards that are trying to be SJWs.
Oh, I didn't really think it was a hot take for myself. I mean, that guy legitimately did look like he's done meth his entire life. And, I mean, the guy was clearly lying about the whole ordeal.
Wait, so people are hunting you down on Facebook? Are you?
No, they're not hunting me down. I had one guy say that he didn't like the show, and
It was a single instance of a larger gentleman with a neck beard that looked like he fed off Hot Pocket sandwich.
No need to assault his looks or appearance by any means, but Justin's not really telling any. You know, he couldn't be sued for libel. It'd be no problem.
That's right.
It could have been any of the one guys that did
I'm just telling you exactly what I seen. It was, an IMO in my opinion.
I appreciate the defense there, buddy. Really, one of the things I did want to get into, I know we discussed it on the last episode, Justin, but I did want to discuss with everybody with this Green New Deal, and it's just going to be like I kind of want to gather everybody's thoughts on it. I know Stone, he doesn't really keep up with much on the latest politics, so I wanted to gather his thoughts as well, but I just kind of wanted to gather what everyone thought. I know AOC is walking it all back right now. She's kind of saying that it was a draft and everything that everything that everyone was kind of pointing towards with like the economic support for people who are unwilling to work and replacing airplanes with trains and all that crazy stuff was just part of a draft document.
Wait, replacing airplanes with trains?
Yeah, she wants to replace airplanes with trains because global warming.
Yeah, I think it's funny how all the major news outlets that are on the left, like Washington Post and stuff, came to her defense with a new fact-check sheet to help alleviate the convoluted Republican feelings that were dropped on it.
Well, what was wild to me was just the fact that they went on. I think they had that professor who was an advisor for the Green New Deal, the AOC, and tried to say that the GOP spread the lie of the whole essentially taking care and subsidizing people unwilling to work with a living wage, which like that kind of all the walking back and covering up, like it really for a second genuinely had me believing that I read something that someone from the GOP made when it was a direct. I mean, when I read it, it was a direct link from AOC's website. So
Yeah, and that's where when we were talking about it on the show, the document was directly from their website. NPR had it as well. CNBC was reporting on it. So nothing was doctored. What she was referring to was satire going around on Twitter. So like people started making fun of the document. So it was like saying that like also one of the requirements of the Green New Deal was like all men had to pee in buckets or something like that. And so,
that was Mark Dice who did that.
Bottling urine and saving it for
Mark Dice purposely put that out there and even messaged it on his Facebook to see who would buy it, and of course they did. The funny thing is it 100% said unwilling to work in there, and the way that people on the left, like the news organizations like Washington Post, for example, here's one of their direct fact quotes for combating the unwilling to work, right? They said, guaranteeing a job with a family-sustaining wage, adequate family and medical leave, paid vacations, retirement, security to all people of the United States. So they kind of walked it back and they said it wasn't that they were unwilling, it's just that they wanted to create a family-sustaining wage. So we're back to that $15 minimum wage thing that no one understands economics about.
Yeah.
Which blows my mind.
Well, that's the thing that I think a lot of people seem to have in common is they also don't understand economics because they just like the way things sound instead of really sitting down and thinking about the consequences and what that actually means. It sounds really nice to just say the sentence that you're willing to take care of people unable and unwilling. And when you couple it that way, you kind of flim-flam the reader into because it's intentional. They don't separate those thoughts. They keep unable because that's supposed to trigger your sympathy there.
If everyone realized that in a small level of ideals, I mean, most of us when we get older take care of our parents because they become unwilling or unable, or they just. But either way, I mean, if anyone realized that, then. This isn't like when she had it in their unwillingness. Like, I want to know what the hell she was interpreting that as. Because to me and a lot of other people, it sounded like people that just didn't want to work. So that's going to need a lot of clarification.
Yeah, because that really, Justin, truly, what you just said is the biggest point is even if this was a draft, why in the hell was that part in the draft? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Right. Yeah. If anything, they're boobs at best. Like they made such a horrible like they left a joke in a draft proposal is the best case scenario, and then proposed that as actual, which is pretty Mr. Magoo-ish. And
yeah, well, it's obviously they're trying to spin it because even like you said, even if this was a draft and it was a mistake, they would have simply uploaded the correct one by now, and it's been almost a full 24 or 48 hours and they haven't released a new document. They haven't uploaded a new document yet.
I mean, here's some common sense stuff, right? The Green New Deal is a huge thing that they want to input, right? It's like a whole society changer, really, because it's going to affect every facet of life. Travel, jobs, everything. You would think with something that important that you would have multiple drafts, okay? And that these drafts wouldn't be put out until you've had lots of people lay eyes on them, give their recommendations, and then they would come out with a final draft that everyone could read.
This document was supported by nearly every top Democratic frontrunner for president. So these people signed off on this document.
Oh, didn't even read it.
No, they didn't read it. There's no way they read it.
They saw Green New Deal on it.
That was it. That's all they saw.
They probably did read it because it's really not that difficult to read.
It was about 6 pages. It really wasn't a difficult read, but I doubt that
it's literally Spark Notes.
Reading it like that, I don't know.
I think anybody listening who hasn't read either I don't know if you can still get the original FAQ.
Oh, you can.
I read the original FAQ and then I started reading.
Online's forever now, my friend.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Online's forever. That's why you're not supposed to send nudes of your butt or anything, because it's gonna be on there for a very long time.
Ask Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, but soon we're gonna
Yeah,
have a
just ask
generation
Jeff
of
Bezos.
nudes havers, though. So it's not gonna really make a difference in a few years.
I just feel that everyone looks, I think it's funny that communism's trying to come back around and socialist ideals and stuff like that, and everyone looks at it because it seems like such a utopian way for our society to be effective, and really every time it's been done, it's poorly done, because like me and Keaton talked about a while, like, on the last episode, it comes down to the fact that not everyone has the same ambition or drive that everyone else does. That's why when we'll take example Japan, right? Pretty homogenous country, right? It's got a lot of native Japanese people that live there, especially on the islands and stuff, and everyone talks about how Japan is a front runner for work ethic and quality of craftsmanship and stuff like that. They're not like America, where they have hundreds of countries that flock here, and different types of people from all over. We're 100% a huge melting pot. In essence, you have Japan that's pretty homogenous. These people have a way of life that has been passed down for so long, and then you come to America and we just have, different perspectives everywhere. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, we are a melting pot, and that's the weird thing about all the jags people go on about appropriation. Because I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't know who I am. I'm half, if you want to get technical, half black. That's the thing that we could talk about one day. Is so I'm mixed race. There's a theory I just developed where I say I'm racially convenient, in that people can choose which race I am and tell me which race I am, which, I can't think of too much more racist than telling someone, I've had people be like, well, you're black.
Yeah,
and
no
I've
kidding.
had also people go like, well, but you're half white. People get to
Well, what is
So what do you identify
what is
as
your take?
today?
what's that?
Is that a day-to-day thing? What do you identify as today, black or white?
I identify as what the police identify me by, and that's a black male. So that's what that's what I worry about.
What I find funny, and I seen this Vice YouTube video. Vice is notorious for being pretty liberal, but they had black conservatives talking with black liberals, and it was
I
just
saw it.
yeah. Could you seeing the side on the liberals? They were just super ready to just gnaw off the heads of these conservative bunch, and it's just it's just crazy. You can't even it's funny how if you're a black person in America, it's you have to be forced to think as a Democrat, and it's not it's not. Yeah,
that's definitely true. But as far as the aggression in the video, honestly, black people are just passionate people. A lot of my passion is mistaken for aggression at times. It's we're just a boisterous and if someone will be listening to this being like, how dare he say, it's fool, I'm black. I'm telling you, I got black family. It's loud and wild, and when we're in public, they get people's attention and stuff. It's an observable thing. If someone wants, that's why to me, I think that the funniest people in the world aren't necessarily comedians. I think it's just black people on the streets, anywhere at any given time, driving a car or at a job, checking you out or serving you at a restaurant. I think that something about the way we are is just hilarious compared to other races. I think we're just funnier, conversationally and in life. I know everybody listening is thinking of a black dude that makes them laugh a lot.
Yeah, well, I actually thought the video was pretty interesting. I saw that video, and what I wish they did, instead of doing just talking points and highlights of the discussion, I wish they would have actually just released the whole discussion, because that would have actually been a very
it was only
interesting
7
video to
minutes
watch.
long, which was disappointing because you send this out here and it's actually a very entertaining video to watch, because whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, Libertarian, anything, I mean, it's good to get perspective You have to. You can't just be closed-minded. Like that's where people go wrong is they associate themselves with a particular group and then they just get into that little cluster and like they can't come out of there. And it's weird to me that a lot of people just can't be open-minded about stuff.
Well, yeah, but that's a lot of people. It's certainly weird, but there's a good percentage of people that are truly open-minded. But I mean, right now is a really easy time to lose yourself, especially in political nature things. Because I was telling people I live in Denver, you know, and I was telling like I watched the election with people that were like wildly Hillary, and I mean I'm independent. I really don't care for any specific political party. I think they both have their very, very few pros and a huge shit ton long list of cons, you know, like, so.
Well, because once they identify as one or the other, they have to play up to that side. Look at Howard Schultz. Like, he's notoriously liberal, but as soon as he has something that's a different point of view than the intended point of view by Republican or Democrat, he's labeled as an outcast. And that's why a lot of independents and libertarians never get candidates up to run with.
Yeah, I think that the Schultz thing is a little bit exaggerated, though. I think only people in New York City and like half of Los Angeles really care about all that. I don't really think, like, I think it's just the media is inflating it, but I think like everyday people are just like, the Starbucks guy wants to be president. All right, let's hear what he's got to say, and maybe I'll think about it. But I really don't think that many people are just like, oh, he's nice guy Trump. Like, I really think that's the spin everybody's doing because, like I was saying, man, everybody's so into politics. It's the new Walking Dead. Like, nobody cares about TV as much as they care about politics. Like, people used to really like TV a lot, and they still do, but, like, they seem to like politics way,
it's funny
way
that
more.
you
They
made
seem to,
that
like,
analogy
participate.
because it's dying. Politics is dying as well.
Well, tribal politics have taken over, and it's interesting. You made the connection of like a nice guy Trump. That's really kind of what Howard Schultz is. I mean, Trump was never a Republican. He's been a lifelong Democrat, and he really only shifted to Republican when he decided to run for president. But I just thought it was interesting that these tribal politics kind of break everybody into groups. Everyone starts to build up their walls and starts to get real defensive. Yeah. Some people want to build walls, some don't. Whatever. But everyone's building up their walls around their particular positions, and nobody wants to listen to each other. And it's interesting that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez kind of brings this into the Green New Deal because it guarantees like economic support for everyone. It's basically a UBI in disguise, universal basic income. But what was interesting to me is because she's wanting to get rid of fossil fuels, period, in 10 years, which is just an absolutely ridiculous feat to do, period, because you would destroy the American economy. Which I think is part of the idea. Well, absolutely, because you have to depend on daddy government to take care of you at that point. But you destroy the American economy, and you want to get off fossil fuels. But I mean, it's just like, okay, so you want to get off fossil fuels. That's an enormous amount of energy that the country runs on. I mean, you think about the trucking industry alone that takes products from coast to coast. So you want to get rid of that. But you also want to ban nuclear energy, the most efficient power source known to man. Like, you're going to have to build a lot of nuclear power plants. And she's like, oh, no, I don't want to build power plants. I want to ban them.
I mean, even so, like, say for instance, that we did reach this 10-year thing with America, right? That we reach completely no CO2 emissions from America alone. There's places, I mean, China has a pollution problem that is out of this world. I mean, you have people that walk through and they remember that one artist that was literally vacuuming the air and made a complete brick out of the pollutants and the particulates in the air. Did you guys ever see that?
Yeah, wasn't that in Beijing or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. In that last Accord was an absolute joke. of what the U.S. was going to have to put into it once again. That's why it sucks being a part of places like NATO and crap like that, because it always seems like the U.S. has to put in above and beyond what any other country has to put in. And there was nothing in there stifling China's production, because guess what? Everyone's made China the damn producer of everything. I mean, China produces everything for all these countries.
Yeah, it's basically just a multi-country pinky
So
promise
yeah,
to do
so
something.
exactly, it wasn't, and there was nothing in there stifling China. And China's one of the worst countries out there that is polluting the air. So yeah, cool. We could have done something, yeah. But at the same time, if you want to get CO2 emissions under where they're supposed to be, then this is a whole world deal.
I think even if America went completely renewable, like if America did exactly what AOC wants to do, I think it would change the global temperature like not even a degree. It would be like half a degree Celsius.
That's a lot. Still.
That's another thing that I have an issue with is all the stuff that media and everything and all these numbers that get put out about climate change. You've got such a large polarizing debate versus is climate change real, is climate change not real, and you get like hordes of people on either opposite side. And it's crazy to me how much I mean you can go on there and Google climate change statistics and all this stuff, and the stuff that populates on it is crazy.
Well, there's things worth looking up that people don't often look up, like I believe there's Solyndra, which is a defunct solar energy company that Obama gave $500 million of taxpayer money to, that nobody just ever talks about, and they're not the only one. I think Solazine was another one, and that's just solar panels. Then there was Alginol that was contracted by the Navy to they were forcing aircraft carriers to use like a mixture of this algae fuel so that the media could report, look, they're using this algae fuel, but like it was just a temporary thing just to I mean, this is all like verifiable. I don't know what to tell you to look for, but you can definitely Google the words I'm saying.
Yeah, and
No, yeah, the government has subsidized many companies.
oh yeah.
it's just everything just seems so convoluted. It sucks because this day and age with online and stuff, you should have answers at your fingertips, right? But you get so many varieties of articles and documents and stats and quotes, of everything. It's like hard to sift. And that's why I think people just give up looking for facts. They just take stuff for word value now, or what they read the first article they pull up, because it's such a pain in the ass to just dredge through all these things to try to find the actual truth. And then when you get here, you'll find something else that kind of been like, okay, well, I guess how does this affect it now? That's what I hate.
When most of your news is coming from the angle of an opinion instead of just what happened, it's going to be really hard to find facts instead of just like people's garbage takes. I mean, that's how you get Covington. You get a nation of adults wishing death threats upon little tiny kids. Like,
Yep.
and I know someone's here. I know someone's here. Oh, little tiny, they're punks. It's like whatever, man. They're kids. Look at yourself. If you're like sitting around hoping kids get beat up, and then you hear me say, "Yeah, I don't care, man. Go somewhere. What's wrong with you? Why are you wishing people harm for no trivial good reason?" It's absurd.
Yeah, like why does Kathy Griffin still have her Twitter account? She was hard trying to dox these kids.
Why do a bunch of crazy adults still have their damn Twitter accounts?
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan still has one.
Yeah, man. There's no real standard of like equity with as far as being doxxed or being banned and being blocked. Like they're saying that all these Twitter bans and these like conservative shadow bans are like legitimately like just sending people far away from the conversation, because I mean that's the president's on Twitter, so it's like why should a citizen be banned? I heard that's not me. I think I heard Tim Pool say that on Joe Rogan the other day.
Yeah, and that's
Which
when
is
that's when it comes back around to, freedom of speech and private companies and stuff. Like, where do you draw the line? And that's the
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
it's like, and I think what people get in the habit of, it's like a mom and dad scenario. It's like, you say something and maybe the oldest kid gets away with something, and then the youngest kid's like, well, why does he get to do that? You know what I mean? And I think that's what it comes down to. It's like, okay, well, you just banned me for this. Why isn't this person getting banned? And I think that's what it comes down to. But people also forget Twitter, Instagram, all those companies are privately owned. So, are we going to start making...
Yeah, but when they start colluding together, which the Alex Jones ban was very interesting, and if only for the reason, I know everyone's got their own opinions on Alex Jones. I don't really care for the guy. I think he's entertaining. I think that's what he is he's just a entertainer. But I think the Alex Jones example is a great example to kind of open people's eyes on how these companies are working together to ban a voice. And I think it's an interesting thing to discuss, talking about, obviously a company has the right to ban or to control whatever is on their platform. They have every right to do so. But in this day and age, I mean, really, it really is almost like silencing speech when you ban these people from Facebook, you ban them from Twitter, you ban them from YouTube, you ban them from Apple Podcasts, you ban them from every platform that a normal everyday citizen uses to get their information. And it's really, you're not technically silencing their speech. They can still speak. It's just limiting the platforms.
The funny thing is the left always clamors that they hate fascism, like fascist things. This is exactly what it is. Like, if you're gonna ban someone just because you don't like their opinion or what they say, like, and you have that power, like, that's what it comes down to. And that's another thing that's infuriating. It's just like, when are we gonna stop picking and choosing? Like, if you have rules and regulations on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, then follow them. But don't pick and choose who you follow or who you don't follow.
That's the thing, though. This is like, it's a full-on culture war, and it's like a in your face, like, but undercover. Like, there's just no way to get past the fact that there's a conservative, like an anti-conservative bias across most platforms. And I mean, like I said, I'm not a conservative by any means. I'm just a casual observer of all this stuff because, like I said, I saw this happening before. It's like, man, this is really ramping up. Like, people seem to like this with the same energy they like Game of Thrones, and like that's like the way it's like handled. I feel like just like very fantastical, and there's dragons.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely dragons.
Definitely dragons.
It's definitely entertaining.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi looks like some kind of lizard.
She does look. I told, I think it was another episode. I told Justin, I was like, Nancy Pelosi and Ted Cruz are like from the lizard planet.
She's the lizard people that Alex Jones talks about. The underground society of hidden lizard people that have infiltrated our human being society. They're here to
turning the freaking frogs gay.
That's why they're so knowledgeable about the wall, because they're so good at burrowing.
Hey, frogs.
I don't know, Stone. Where do you get most of your news or information? Like, if you see something, where do you normally see it from?
It's either it's always people posting shit on Facebook. That's about it.
Oh, it's the
Just
worst
Facebook?
source.
I know.
That is the
I'm not
worst
saying I'm
source.
following it. I'm not listening.
No,
or reading
no,
stuff.
I know. I'm not.
I go
I'm
out of
not
my way
judging
to
you.
avoid news.
Yeah, Facebook is a literal
It is pretty
butthole
notorious.
of news coverage because
Well,
it's all
and the
shitty
thing-
opinions.
Yeah, the thing about it is it is difficult to get, an unbiased kind of just give me the facts news source.
It's fun.
It's really
It's
tough.
funny
to find.
too because like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, you have people that are like, "Oh, I hate I hate what you're broadcasting or whatever. I think it's gross or whatever. It's like those people will see that, and you could have people that you've been friends with for a while, and then they have a difference of opinion, and it's just like, ooh, gotta push them off the friends list. It's like they instantly
it's just tribalism.
They instantly.
If someone has an opinion about a recorded conversation they listen to that they're not a part of, to the point where they want to treat you different as a person, I feel like that says a lot more about that individual than it does you.
Well, yeah, of course.
If you don't like something, you don't have to listen to it. I mean, this is one conversation. This conversation shouldn't encapsulate who any of us are as people or as men. Like, it should give you an idea of the kind of guys we are, but you don't know. This is like
They're not even
time
listening to the
capsule
whole conversation.
of one damn conversation, exactly.
They're picking apart the 3 words they heard that they didn't agree with, and then they're going to hold that as that's you now. Is you said those 3 things, you agreed with this.
Yeah, like the
That's
first
it.
time
People
Keaton
just-
says
they
that he
remember
doesn't
the
like
things that
chicken
upset
strips, he's off. He's done.
He's done. He's out of here. And I never went to KFC again. Sorry, man.
Oh, sorry, never went to Popeyes.
Bad move.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
I've been eating Popeyes in what feels like 5 years.
Well, Daniel's not coming back on the show.
Yeah. If you're eating a Popeyes biscuit with no drink, it feels like 5
No,
years.
eating a Popeyes biscuit
I'm
is
eating
akin
enough
to
Popeyes
eating a
for
dry
a lifetime, I swear you
napkin.
that. I used to eat Popeyes in Germany, man. I've been eating Popeyes for a little bit. They have Popeyes
Damn, in Germany, huh?
On the Air Force bases. Yeah.
You were in the Air Force?
No, my dad was.
Oh, okay. That's legit. Tell your dad thank you for serving. You're not allowed to. You didn't have Popeyes in the last 5 years.
He'll say something unsavory that you probably wouldn't like.
Oh, I've trust me. Keaton knows me. I have to tone myself down for the show to keep it not crude.
Yeah, I try to keep it toned down to the PG
Yeah, me too.
level.
Oh, he'll tell you. Keaton will tell you.
Does your mom listen to these?
Yeah.
She does.
Oh, that changed. You should have said that.
Yeah, you should have led with that.
Oh no!
You should have started every show by saying "Hey" to your mom, just so we all know.
Oh,
Thank you. Back to the
Mrs.
show.
Tucker.
Hey, Miss Tucker.
But it is. I mean, it really is interesting how tribal politics have kind of embedded itself in everyday life. And I mean, it is. It's interesting to see people comment on stuff that they hear, like you said, Stone, like 3 or 4 words, and now you're labeled from that 3 or 4 words. And you saw it in, like, even in the State of the Union. I don't know if you guys saw the State of the Union, but when all the women of Congress on the Democratic side wore white in solidarity for women's rights, but then when Trump went and touted that that minority unemployment and women unemployment were at an all-time low, and they were looking at each other feeling like, do we clap? Do we not clap? Like, do we stand? Do we cheer for this?
And then
well,
my favorite line was at the end. Nancy Pelosi said, "It's going to take so long to fact check all this." It's going to take forever to fact check this.
Ask Russia. They know.
oh, Russia. Yeah, Russia's behind everything, obviously.
Yo, I saw a story today that said Russia is dealing with a polar bear invasion, and that
I saw that.
That they're it's illegal to hunt and kill them / protect yourself, and that, they just gotta.
It's illegal.
They're gonna have to enlist the help of Mountain Lion Man. He knows how to take down wild animals.
So as if Russia wasn't wild enough, they got damn polar bears everywhere now, eating all the Ruskies.
Yeah, think back on that funny video you showed me, Keaton, of the guy fighting the raccoon. Could you imagine a polar bear outside?
And they're running in groups. There's like 10, 20 of them in one spot.
Really?
Yeah, they're breaking into buildings.
So like a whole herd went in there?
Yeah.
Gangs of polar bears.
They're looking for food. They went
Those things
south.
are notoriously vicious.
I've never
There's a
heard
video
of what is a group of polar bear called? Like you know how like
murder.
No.
Yeah, I don't know if they run in groups like typically. I don't know if they clan
I didn't think
up.
they did.
I thought they were pretty solid.
They were like, it's just the family. This was like a whole 20 of them in one
And
spot.
I'm going to tell you right now that most of those doors aren't going to stop the polar bears.
No, there's videos of them going inside bars.
It says a group of bears is called a sloth or a sleuth.
A what now?
A group of polar bears is called a sloth or a sleuth.
A sleuth. Ooh,
like S-L-E-U-T-H.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know for a fact one of those damn bears can paw a door open easily.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing's stopping them from getting that food. I mean, shit, they came all the way to the island.
Yeah.
I forget what island it was that they were on.
Somewhere over there in Russia.
I don't know, somewhere where I'm not going anytime soon.
Death Island?
Yeah, Death Island.
Skull Island, there's a sleuth of polar bears.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the island that Lost
Dude,
was filmed on.
there's a video of a guy who builds this plexiglass box and sits in the middle of the Arctic, and a polar bear comes up and starts mashing him, and I swear, man, he's at one point he's like, yeah, in a few seconds the polar bear will have to move along to conserve precious calories. But it didn't sound like he was telling the listener. It sounded like he was really like talking to himself.
Pretty soon the polar bear's
like,
going to leave.
surely this bear is going to move along and not kill me. Like,
I think he's underestimating how hungry the bear might have been.
There's a lot of food out there.
Think of how dangerous it would be to wear a penguin beanie.
Yeah, I don't know as if you would want to wear that.
I think they'll eat anything, but yeah.
Gosh.
Was that like the peak of the excitement in that? Was the polar bear came up? Is there anything else out there?
See, and that begs another question. Like, what's causing a sleuth of bears to roll up on a Russian neighborhood out of the blue?
I'm sure someone would say climate change and a depleted food source. That'd be my best guess, but I don't know. You'd have to really look into it, I would think, for a pack of wild-ass polar bears to roll up into your Russian town and set up shop. Sounds more like a horror movie than reality.
Yeah.
It does. Man,
all I know is that I would not be there for the Bear Festival.
No.
It's a movie I would watch if they made it.
No. The only
Get Conor McGregor in it.
Yeah. Conor McGregor goes up against the sleuth of polar bear.
Be a lot cooler.
Khabib could come and be in the movie too. It'd be great. Great.
Yeah, guest appearance by Henry Cavill, Superman himself, out of nowhere.
Man, this is weird. I heard someone else on a podcast I was listening to was talking about how handsome Henry Cavill was.
I mean, do you know how to
He
do
is.
You guys are like a part of some kind of secret society of Henry lovers.
Possibly.
No, I just acknowledge a handsome man.
Yeah.
You have to. But on that note, Keaton, I have to head and attend to my child and eat animal cookie frosting that I got in the mail.
Yeah. Well, you go on and you do you, brother. Thanks for coming on, buddy.
You guys have a good night.
Later.
Keep those tenders warm.
Boy, a wonderful time.
Daniel, what are your thoughts? I kind of wanted to gather your thoughts on this latest Virginia governor, just total wildfire that they got over there as far as leadership goes. I mean, these things are just falling like dominoes.
Yeah, I don't really understand exactly what's going on. Like, I read the things and I see what's happening, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that it's not somehow like a bigger deal. Like I think he went on CBS, or they played an interview from CBS where he casually called slavery he treated it like slaves came to America willingly as an indentured servants, as opposed to being brought, in slave conditions, which is like on top of all the other nonsense. Forget about the moonwalking at the press conference. I have a sense of humor. Like all that is just it just makes me. I don't know if anybody understands what simulation theory is, but like sometimes I feel like we live in something that someone is just programming just to mess with us. And I mean, because how else could you explain someone getting in trouble for blackface, and then at the press conference where they're talking about it, he was gonna moonwalk.
He was straight up gonna moonwalk.
If his wife wasn't there to tell him to chill, he would have moonwalked.
He would have.
I wish he wasn't there. I really wish he would have moonwalked. I don't think anything.
How did anyone find out that he was planning on moonwalking?
No, he said so. So what had happened is he was having a press conference about, because they found out a old college photo of him wearing blackface, and so he had a press conference addressing this.
Or he's the Klansman.
Or he's the Klansman. He could be the one in the white hood. Who knows? But
he never said.
He claims he was neither. But he said he did dress as blackface to imitate Michael Jackson in a dance competition. So a reporter
I'm guessing this is back when Michael Jackson was still black.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that one out there.
So he said that he was imitating Michael Jackson, and a reporter for some reason asked if he could still moonwalk. And the guy at the press conference looks ahead of the podium to see if there was enough room to moonwalk, and his wife is standing right beside him. She grabs him on the shoulders, just like inappropriate circumstances. And he's got this big dumb grin on his face where he's just like,
this is it. This is how I'll prove to them it was just a joke. I'll moonwalk in front of everybody. If you really wanted to be like Michael Jackson, you could have just touched the kids.
Yeah, there were no kids in the crowd, unfortunately.
Too soon.
Unfortunately, no kids in the crowd. But if there were two,
people have been saying it for a while.
Yeah, he's more interested in pulling kids out of the womb, so he's got that going for him. Anyway, but yeah, it is
just taking shots at the guy who made Thriller.
Oh, it was a thriller, all right. Especially if you're at that house. Isn't the guy underneath him getting hit for sexual assault too?
Yeah. And then the guy behind him just came out of nowhere. It was just like, hey, if anyone's looking, just so you know, I wore blackface too.
I also did blackface on BT Dubs.
In case anyone's looking.
How common was it to do blackface back then?
LOL, if you're paying attention.
I don't know. I know it was, and I know nothing about this era really, but this is getting kind of eerie to see all of these people come out like this. It is pretty weird.
I heard Michael Malice say too, he's like, people call this like a mistake. He said to call it a mistake is ridiculous. Like rubbing shoe polish all over your face, like it doesn't take a few seconds. It's more than a mistake. Like you would realize halfway through maybe this isn't such a good idea. That's how long it takes.
Yeah, there's no way that was a mistake. That is direct intent. And plus, okay, so I don't know if you heard this, Stone. All right, this story gets deep, man. So Daniel brought this up on our last podcast. There's an old, I don't know if it was a college photo at all, but it had his nickname in the yearbook. And the nickname in parentheses.
It looked like it was the military, the military hospital, college, whatever it was,
Yeah. So it was like a military photo, and underneath, how it has their name and then maybe a nickname that they were called in school. Coon Man.
Coon Man.
Coon. Coon Man.
It said Goose, then Coon Man, and then Goose. I think he said, "Well, my nickname was actually Goose," and it's like, yeah, but why did they also have Coon Man then?
He's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why Coon Man. I don't know what
Coon Man even means.
None of it looks good. I mean,
every other day he was dressed up as blackface, apparently, or something.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting.
My dad lives in the state. They live in Virginia, and he was saying, I think he said he's going to write his congressman about it. So I mean, who knows? We'll see. What happens? I'm not saying my dad's letter is going to do something. Just saying, who knows? He's saying he's not going to do something, but if he just keeps on going on national TV and almost moonwalking and belittling slavery,
it might not be his choice.
Happen to him.
Yeah, it might not be his choice.
Exactly.
But the thing, I mean, it is wild. He seemed, for now, he's standing his ground. He's saying he's not going anywhere. And I mean, honestly, at this point, in this day and age, that might be his best play, is to just stand his ground. Because if he quits now,
he's smart.
Yeah, that is his best play, 100%. Because if he quits now, he goes down as Coon Man, the governor.
He should have quit a couple months ago.
But I mean, he's in a lot of trouble.
By Friday, if the government shuts down, nobody's going to be thinking about Northam.
Yeah, that is true. He may be just biding his time.
That's 4 more days, and like honestly, these 4 days are going to be so border funding oriented or immigration talks. Like he's going to fade into the noise. Like it's going to happen. He's going to survive this, and that to me is like further proof of this double standard against conservatives. That I mean, and it's funny because CNN even tried to smear him as a Republican. Like they put him Republican on a chyron.
Yep.
And the thing about lying like that is, you know, people say it's a mistake. It's not a lie. It's like, well, then why is it never a mistake in favor of conservatives? Like if it's always an error against a party, then I think that the error would be your bias slipped through and you weren't able to camouflage it as news, you know?
Right. And you know, you also had the whole, which the Covington High School kids story, right? They blew that out of the water before there was even any evidence to what they were claiming.
Well, just days after they blew the what was it with someone, I can't remember who it was, but like someone within the Mueller investigation said that the kids were all directly tied. Like they just BuzzFeed released something that was just completely wrong and unverified, and that the Mueller investigation came out and said, yeah, that's not true.
Yeah.
Then they just said, well, we stand by it, which, you know, and then we just hear nothing about it anymore.
Yeah, the BuzzFeed
it seems to be like the reoccurring theme, you know.
The BuzzFeed story was talking about that they claimed that Donald Trump ordered Michael Cohen to lie to Congress, and that they had sources.
That's what it was.
And we covered it on one episode, and you know, when he went on to interview, they asked him, well, have you heard any of these source, or have you seen any of the evidence from your so-called sources? The sources were anonymous. And so he's like, no, I haven't seen them personally, but I have very reliable sources. And so they just kind of like went on with it. They were like, oh, well, okay, you know, reliable sources. It is just an absolutely ridiculous thing that, you know, think about if you're someone inside of these institutions like the FBI, and you want to get Donald Trump, and you know that you can go to some half-wit journalist from BuzzFeed and just spout this BS that you don't have to substantiate, and he goes to CNN, and CNN just blasts it everywhere. You know, and like you said before, Daniel, on another episode, it's just like when they release something that's completely false, that's what people see. When they see the retraction, they don't see the retraction. Nobody sees the retraction.
People aren't always paying, and they don't say the retraction as loud as they say the wrong thing.
Right.
And I think someone mentioned that it should be like a law that they have to use the same size print for retractions as they do original reports. I don't really feel like you should have to legislate against the press, and I feel like they should just figure that out internally and have some ethics about themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
And then all of a sudden they're there right when Roger Stone is getting arrested. Like they get there an hour before Roger Stone is arrested with the FBI. And
I was gonna mention that, yeah.
Yeah, so the FBI sent I think it was 29 heavily armed guys. They had a couple boats, and they also had a couple choppers overhead. There was a lot of money spent to get this old man, like this physically equivalent to Mr. Magoo, like to get this man. And I think I looked up like the SEAL Team 6 that went and got Osama bin Laden was around like 24, 25 guys. Like they had 2 choppers and everything like that. So it was like the equivalent of the team that went and got Osama bin Laden was the team to went and get this 65-year-old man, this old guy in a bathrobe. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And to claim that they weren't tipped off because they got there an hour before the raid happened. Like, come on.
Yeah, they were set up. Like, I mean, they were ready for the shot. It's definitely questionable at best, and I feel like if you just dismiss it, then I mean you're dismissing quite a hefty load as far as the fact that someone within the FBI leaked to the press that they were going to go arrest a guy that a lot of people believe is really, really close to Trump. And I mean, it's funny. Like I said, I don't know a ton about. I only pay attention to politics because it seems to be coming to a head. Like a lot of things are worthy of fact checking and double checking and whatnot. But like, man, I don't know. It's all just it's a little bit wild, and like I said, it's hard to pay attention to it because it's all just, it seems like everybody's just opinionated and nobody's really just saying what's happening. So it's really difficult to keep up. And I can understand why people just observe it emotionally because it doesn't seem like anybody's actually reporting a damn thing. They're just talking about these emotional things constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all partisan hits. So it's being discussed.
Yeah, it's all been running an endless circle of nonsense for the last 4 years. Can we reset to 2016? That was like the best year of my life. I want to go back.
2016? What made 2016 the best?
I don't know. I probably wasn't legal yet.
I mean, it's also boring to me. Like it's definitely like, you know, worthy of attention, but it's like, oh, what a terrible bore all this is. Like all the people mad and screaming all the time. It's like, do something like else. Just get a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta really like look inside yourself and figure out why you want to yell all the time about every damn thing.
Well, the thing is, it's like people are mad that the reason people are mad, they're mad at Trump, right? And why are they mad at Trump? Because Trump has a lot of power. Why does Trump have a lot of power? Because the presidency has more power than it should. And I think the federal government has just become way too bloated with power to where people are freaking out about this stuff. People shouldn't be freaking out about an individual leading the country. The president should not have as much power as he has, and the federal government should not control as much as they do. I think everything should be done at the local level, and I think the government has been so overbloated with power that it's causing these reactions where people get visceral and ugly with each other because they're scared. And I get, each side why they would be scared, but at the end of the day, you have to look at the root problem, and I think that's the government has way too much power under itself.
I mean, you hit it right on the head. There's people that worry about what these fools in D.C. are doing. I mean, like, if it's all the way in D.C., I'm nowhere near D.C. You're nowhere near D.C. Like, what they do and talk about there doesn't really affect us.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild. I think, if people gave more, which I think what needs to happen is the power needs to shift to the local governments. The states need to have more power, and people can have more input in the states' government than they would the federal government. And so everyone wouldn't be battling over their different policies. I say let the states do what they want to do. If California wants to go full socialist, I was telling this to Justin a couple of weeks ago. If California wants to go full socialist, let them do it, but keep it in California. Let California burn to the ground if they need to.
It's already burning to the ground.
It is already burning
Might
to
as
the ground.
well
That's a great
pour my gas on it.
That's a poor analogy on my part.
Oh, poor California.
Poor California. Yeah. Out of water, too much fire.
It used to be such a beautiful place, from what I hear.
Yeah. It used to be a red state. And then the blues came in. No, each side is bad, to be honest. And I think, I was talking, again, this was on a past episode, the Democrats, we poke fun at them a lot just because they honestly give us more material to talk about, but
Trump does a lot of stupid things.
Trump
too.
does a lot of stupid things, and the Republicans, obviously, at the State of the Union, the one thing they didn't stand up and clap when Trump said he was like, "Great nations don't fight endless wars." And they didn't stand up and clap against that because they were just like, they want to stay in Afghanistan. They want to stay in Syria. They want to stay in Yemen. They don't want to end these wars. And that's just those neocons. That's what they want to do. That's how they have their power, the military industrial complex. It is what it is. And each side has their bad qualities. Each side has their good qualities. But at the end of the day, like I said before, if the federal government has just way too much power.
So back to this Green Deal, how much would it cost for us all to change to green within 10 years? Like, what kind of budget were they talking about?
So there have been estimates as to what this would cost on an infrastructural level. It is in over $100 trillion over the next 10 years.
Where's that money coming from?
So, well, the thing is, people ask Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez where that money is coming from. But she is saying, she said, the way we pay for this is the same way we paid for the 2008 bank bailouts, the wars.
We didn't.
Well, we went into debt. That's why we're $22 trillion in debt.
Where's the money keep coming from?
But that's what she said is the point. Doesn't like.
So she's
she's just saying you
point.
print endless money. You inflate the currency. The only way you can get out of that is you inflate the currency.
That's just gonna make minimum wage pointless if you raise it to 15 and you're already inflating the currency. Now you're making
at the end of the day,
go up.
It's not about all of that though. This is just a big fraud. It's all about power. And if you give the government all of this power, just think about what that could do. And I mean, this would completely destroy the country. I mean, this would completely destroy the economy. Every single car that is on the road today, besides like 1% of electric cars that are on the road today, you would have to be required to get a new car. There would be no gas cars allowed in 10 years. 2, think about all of the heat, like when people, like water heaters that people have in their homes. So she would retrofit every single building in America that has gas heating to electric. That is a ridiculous statement to make.
You don't have to burn coal to get electricity?
No, so you would think nuclear, right?
Yeah.
That's the most efficient and most powerful source of energy known to man.
We had one meltdown.
But she's going to do wind and solar. Solar has a lot of potential. Solar has a lot of potential, but we can't store it right now. We don't have the technology to store the energy. So, and wind is absolute
that's
joke.
part of the Green New Deal is investing in technologies that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're banking on shit too now.
Yeah. Well, it's just
exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's look at what they're doing in France because they passed a gas tax. There have been months of violent riots going out. And the thing about America, I heard Dave Smith talking about this on the Part of the Problem podcast. He was like, look at what France is doing just because of a gas tax. If you pass something as radical as this, that would legitimately put people's lives at risk in their daily lives. Think about what would happen in America, because the difference between France and America is America has a lot of guns. Like a lot of guns.
Yeah.
They'd probably take the guns away before they put this in there.
Well, that's what they're trying to do too. I mean, it all like if you look at it in the big picture, it really does all fit together like a puzzle.
Good luck with that taking guns away thing.
Yeah, that will never happen. No way. And even if they do pass something like that, like that's how you get another civil war on your hands.
I mean, the enemies of the Second Amendment just don't understand that gun owners and handlers, and police, they know this is an understanding. Police aren't going to go to someone's house and say, "Give me your guns," because police want to go home. They want to go to their families. Yeah, and that's a fool's endeavor to walk onto someone's property in America and tell them to hand over their guns. That would just be a insanely foolish thing to do. Yeah. I think that's kind of like why we're a country, is because of stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is the way I've thought about it before. Like if something like that did get passed, if a large-scale gun confiscation did get passed, there would be some that would follow orders, but there would be many that wouldn't. just because not only would they fear for their lives, but there comes a time when you have to make a decision, even as a police officer or a military personnel, where you stand on taking rights away from people, and that there's going to be bloodshed in that. Like you talk about, this is going to save lives to confiscate guns. Think about how many lives are going to be lost during that confiscation.
Yeah, but it's going to be how you report it on the news. What the left sides are going to say is like, this is why we want to take guns away in the first place. See all these people dying from us trying to take their guns away?
Yeah.
You'll never come in on top, Keaton. They're always going to keep you down.
Well, I think this was a good conversation. I think we need to wrap it up here. Well, Daniel Stone, thanks for joining me on the show here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm just happy
Thanks
to be
for having
here.
me again, man.
Yeah. Well, everybody listening, thanks for coming on, listening to the show. Everyone, be sure to like us on Facebook. Share us with your friends. If you haven't yet, go on Apple Podcasts, leave us a review and a rating. We're also located on iTunes and Spotify and now Stitcher. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Freedom Strips.